some may say even hardened, precisely because of these hardships and testing times. And perhaps to highlight the significance of the graduating class, I'd like to share a wonderful encounter I had just last weekend with Mr. Ronnie Montgomery, who joined us for an ISS alumni reunion. Now, this event was held downtown in the harbor and coincided with a similar event that was being held in the United States, where there was about 100 alums present. You may wonder what was so remarkable about that encounter, and it's with great pride and pleasure that I can introduce, sitting on the front row, Mr. Ronnie Montgomery, our first ever graduate from 1969. It's been a pleasure to show him around this wonderful campus. Of course, in his time, I think he had 3 classrooms for the high school. So it's a very different school that he sees today. Now, this evening marks a very special point in the lives of these fine young people. It marks not only the successful completion of their schooling here at ISS, but also the transition point to their futures. Now, I'm using the plural futures deliberately here because it's highly unlikely that there are many graduating students that know precisely how their future career will be mapped out, or that they will indeed have a job for life. And with a rapidly changing economic and social world of today, it's far more likely that our graduating class will explore multiple twists and turns in their continuing education and careers. I was reading an article recently about some students who had applied to some of the prestigious universities around the world, such as Cambridge and MIT, and they'd expressed frustration having attended some interviews. While many of the interviews were straightforward, some of the students felt that their schools hadn't prepared them to answer the questions that were posed to them. What transpired was these students didn't appreciate that the university professors were posing questions that they knew were beyond the scope of the students' current knowledge. And what they were looking for was the ability to think on their feet and to think outside of the box. The professors were looking for signs that the student could clearly identify what they knew and if they know what they don't know, and could actually tell the difference. And it reminds me of a slightly quirky but intriguing phrase, which is the ability to flounder intelligently. Now, successful students find ways to piece together a cohesive argument and to be able to rationalize, to be able to extrapolate from that which is known and venture some intelligent possibilities in those areas where there is no certainty. And I believe that our ISS diploma program helps our students in being able to think in these terms. The program helps cement skills and knowledge while promoting reflection and metacognitive skills. As a relative newcomer to ISS, I don't have the same shared history with our graduating class, but even so, I'm sure you, like me, feel a swelling of pride as you see these fine young people on stage this evening to mark the point in which they transition to the next phase of their futures. Now, it can be unsettling to venture into new territory, and as these students move to university and careers, I'm sure their mettle will be tested. There's much to be learned in tertiary education, but then there's also much to be learned in the School of Hard Knocks and through the University of Life. And for each and every one of our students sitting here, There's a wonderful life ahead of them, of novels to be written, business plans to be hatched, or perhaps a new Netflix series to be created. But all of these opportunities will doubtless be hidden within the folds of uncertainty and change. On Tuesday's baccalaureate celebration, Mr. Ness gave a compelling speech about comparative analysis of modern-day leaders and the need to take action and not to stand by passively while other people determined fate. Knowingly or not, Mr. Benzenberg's passionate speech about getting lost, of knowing when to follow and when to lead, and ultimately to have the courage to walk the path less traveled. And of course, this was a beautifully choreographed segue to Miss Landis's speech, where she attempted to tackle the big question of the meaning of life through analogy and example, of how fulfillment comes from leading a courageous life, which results from three impactful motivators: will, tenacity, and enthusiasm. Perhaps to underscore these speeches of Mr. Ness, Mr. Benzenberg, and Miss Landis, there are two books I'd like to reference. The first is Sun Tzu's The Art of War. This is a Chinese military treatise written in the 5th century BC. Sun Tzu's translated works are as applicable in today's cutthroat business world as they were 2,500 years ago. While there are numerous highly relevant insights and oft-quoted phrases in this work, there is, I believe, a hidden gem. In the midst of chaos, there is also opportunity. The second book is a more contemporary work, and which you hopefully will appreciate the play on words, called The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield, who incidentally wrote The Legend of Badger Vance that was later made into a movie. And this explores the psychology of creating art and overcoming writer's block. One rarely thinks of the innumerable failures of a successful author, even less that they were actually the building blocks to his future. He contends that writing isn't difficult, but there can be incredible resistance to actually sitting down to write. Which brings me to research and the innate understanding that there's a natural resistance to any act that rejects immediate gratification in favor of long-term growth, health, or integrity. One only needs to look at the alluring addictiveness of social media and the compulsion to scroll, flick, or swipe, or just veg out and watch Netflix. This resistance can be wrapped up in highly plausible arguments, and it's easy to get caught up in the activities that provide instant gratification. Procrastination is the most common manifestation. We don't tell ourselves, I'm never going to write my novel. Instead, we say, I'm going to write my novel, but I'm going to start tomorrow. Or, I'll do it, but first let me look at some funny videos on YouTube. And while talking of authors, we need look no further than J.K. Rowling, whose first novel, The Philosopher's Stone, was pushed to various agents and rejected time and time again by the major publishing houses before finally being given a chance by a relatively small publisher after more than a year of concerted effort. Yes, indeed, the future looks bright for our graduating students, but there will be challenges, heartache along the way, and perseverance is necessary. Or, as Miss Landis mentioned, first there needs to be the will to take action, followed by the tenacity to see it through. So I say to you, our graduating class, never forget, this very moment we can change our lives, change our futures. There was never a moment when we're not without the power to alter our own destiny. And in the months and years to come, you'll be faced with many challenges. The voice of resistance in your ear will rationalize that you deserve the instant gratification of food or Netflix series, checking whatever social media platform is in vogue, or socializing. Some people seek drama in their lives, or perhaps something more passive as an avoidance strategy. Be aware of those around you that can detract from your true long-term goals. Someone once asked Somerset Maugham if he worked to a schedule or only wrote when struck by inspiration. He said, "I write only when inspiration strikes. Fortunately, it strikes at 9 o'clock sharp every morning." And so, ladies and gentlemen, I congratulate our graduating class of 2022, and I wish them the very best of luck in determining their futures and potentially our futures. I'd like to invite Ms. Hulks, the high school principal, to introduce the salutatorian.
The salutatorian is awarded to the second highest achieving student in the entire graduating class. The salutatorian offers the salutation or greeting for the commencement and offers their words of wisdom. This year's salutatorian, Christina Hendicott, has not only been a very strong academic student through her 3 years in the high school at ISS, she's also been involved in the school community through the International Red Cross Club and sports, and also very active in the local community, whether it be developing her skills as a jazz singer with the Stavanger Kulturskole or participating in local athletics competitions in Rogaland. In yesterday's high school awards ceremony, Christina was awarded the Physical Education Award for Outstanding Contribution and was also the recipient of the Norwegian Award for her outstanding contribution to the study of Norwegian language, where her teacher praised her for her enthusiasm, deep analysis, and nurturing student discussion. During her time with us, she has been an incredibly diligent and hard-working student across all subject areas. Whether on the athletics field or leading in a classroom, Christina shows wide-ranging enthusiasm for all manner of interests, while still finding the time and discipline needed to push herself to excel. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome this year's salutatorian, Christina Hendicott.
Welcome to honored guests, family, friends, teachers, and everybody in this class of 2022. Thank you all for joining us today in this commencement ceremony, celebrating our high school education and all of our accomplishments up to this point in our lives. With the school year coming to an end, I've had the chance to reflect on my and our time here at the International School of Stavanger. I've thought about the common experiences that have shaped our lives as students, as well as the impacts that we've had as individuals at this school. More than that, though, I've thought about everything we've learned, about ourselves and about the world that we can carry with us moving forward. The first thing that stands strong in my mind is the sense of community that I felt at ISS. Now, we may all have different ideas of what community has meant for us. It may be the sense of achievement and perseverance we found on a sports team. It may be the feeling of trust and good humor that we value with friends. The invaluable guidance from our teachers and families has also formed a community that we can turn to for support or inspiration. What this all comes down to, though, is that there are people all around us who have made our path through high school all the brighter and all the more meaningful. We've learned the importance of community, and I hope we'll take this with us wherever we go. Being at an international school like this, the word community also applies in a larger, global sense. With new students arriving every year, we've had the chance to get to know and become friends with people from all around the world. At the same time, an international education means that many of the friends we make along the way move to different schools and often to different countries. While this can be challenging at times, it can help us realize that our lives are maybe more interconnected with the world around us than we'd first thought. And ultimately, we're left with a supportive network of friendships that will last for many years to come, if not a lifetime. Closely linked with this idea of community are the skills we've developed at ISS. Working together with different people to achieve different goals has made us all experienced collaborators. We see it during class, whenever we work together to solve problems. We see it through our natural curiosity when asking each other questions and putting our minds together to find answers. This has shown us how our individual contributions can make a difference in any collaborative effort. Importantly, though, ISS's commitment to academic rigor, with both depth and breadth, has expanded our intellectual horizons. We've taken a wide variety of subjects, from the humanities and the sciences to the arts. This has given us a broad and thorough set of tools that we can use to think critically and communicate effectively. We've appreciated all the academic opportunities that have been open to us, even additional events like the Abel Math Competition and weekly math challenges that motivate us in our learning. I, for one, will remember all the hours I spent in the chemistry lab and the insight I gained into Norwegian literature through my extended essay. Adding to this, we've had the opportunity to try new things and push ourselves outside of our comfort zones. For some of us, this has meant pursuing interests we're passionate about, like learning a new instrument or trying out a new sport. And for others, it has meant being a part of school events like MUN or a community service club. I'll always remember the good times I've had performing in the musical productions at ISS. Learning how to take initiative and seek new experiences has strengthened our creative thinking and perhaps uncovered hobbies or interests that we'd like to continue with in the years to come. The time leading up to our graduation has not been without challenges. More than 2 years ago, we all felt the initial impact of the COVID pandemic. We transitioned into online learning, where we became used to seeing each other through our computer screens. Many of the experiences that had previously shaped our lives, like spending time with friends and traveling, were limited. Our resilience during this time has shown us that we can adapt to change, and that we recognize the importance of meaningful relationships with family and friends. The perseverance and resourcefulness that we've all shown will help us face any challenges that come our way. All in all, there are many facets to learning, and we've had a chance to experience many of them at ISS. Over the years, we've developed not just as students, but as all-around human beings. That said, there are many people who have helped us get to this point, and I'd like to take this moment to thank a few of them. First, I'd like to thank our teachers. These are people who have shared their knowledge, encouraged us to challenge ourselves, and supported us through busy weeks. They've inspired us with their valuable experience and all the time and commitment they've invested in our learning. I would also like to thank the families of this graduating class. Your support and guidance means a lot. And to my own family, I'm grateful for everything that you do. Finally, I'd like to thank everybody in this class of 2022. I'm so glad I've had a chance to get to know you and be a part of such an amazing group of people, and I'm excited to see where we all go next. Having said that, it is likely that many of us will meet again after today, but even if that time is somewhere far into the future, we can all look back at our time at ISS, remembering this place, the extraordinary people we've met, and the many things we've learned about ourselves and about the world. Congratulations on this achievement today, and I wish everybody the best of luck.
Thank you very much, Christina, for a lovely speech. Like you, we are very much looking forward to seeing where the class of 2022 go next. As Christina says, you're an amazing group of people with so much potential to make a difference in the world. I would now like to welcome the high school choir, who will be performing Lean on Me by Bill Withers, accompanied by ISS music director, Mr. Seamus O'Brien, playing the keyboard, and physics teacher, Mr. Kevin Yelnick, playing the bass guitar.
Thank you to the choir and Mr. O'Brien and Mr. Yelnick for that fabulous musical interlude. And now I'd like to introduce our guest of honor, Dr. Paul Bouvap, who is himself an ISS graduate from the class of 2007. And he continued his studies, leading to a PhD in International Relations from St. Andrews University, and he is currently a Senior Research Fellow at the Norwegian Defence Research Establishment in Oslo. I had the pleasure of listening to Dr. Bouvap speak a few months ago when he gave a keynote address to our Scandman conference. I think it's noteworthy that his speech back then followed that of Rear Admiral Jan Kak, previously commander of NATO. Admiral Kak gave an incredibly powerful speech worthy of a full United Nations, let alone our model United Nations here at ISS. And I wondered just how Dr. Bouvap might possibly follow this. But I have to say that I was enthralled by Dr. Bouvap's speech, where he was able to encapsulate complex geopolitical perspectives in an eloquent and thought-provoking manner, really suitable for an MUN conference. So it's with a sense of excitement and intrigue that I introduce you this evening to our guest speaker, Dr. Paul Bouvap.
Thank you, Nick, for that extremely generous introduction. Puts no pressure on me at all. Right. Dear class of 22, it really is an honor to be asked to speak to you this evening. 15 years ago, almost to the day, I was sitting where you're sitting. Well, where one of you is sitting. That was the last time my name was called from this stage, and the time before that I was caked in makeup and wearing leather pants. Our musical that year was Grease, by the way. So here I am again, and this time I get to speak to you. So first off, first things first, congratulations. This is it. Every essay, every test, every highlighted sentence and scribbled margin, every scrambling study session and drawn-out class has led you here. You've worked hard, you've buckled down, read up, tuned in, and written out. And tonight, you get to savor that. And as much as this ceremony may feel like a bookmark and end to you, it is actually a commencement ceremony. And what does commencement mean? Well, it means a start, a beginning, an entrance to, not an exit from. So think about that for a moment. Try to imagine these diplomas and your robes not only as stamps of approval for a job well done, but also as keys opening a door to a future you're just now taking the first step into. And beyond that doorstep, it's wide open possibilities. Let me tell you, from my own personal experience, I went to the university I went to because a nice lady posted up a stall just outside this theater, and I liked the pictures in her brochure. I studied international relations because I thought maybe it would be kind of like our current affairs discussions in Mr. Ness's history class. I carried on into postgraduate studies, if I'm honest, because of a girl. And my PhD was practically dropped into my lap by a professor who came up to me one day and said, "Hey, Paul, you're Norwegian, right? Take a look at these papers." And I could go on, but to arrive at the point, life happens. And no amount of planning or strategy or wishing it were one way or another can guarantee an outcome. But then again, as the great Norwegian explorer Roald Amundsen once said, adventure, that's just bad planning. I'm sure you've heard it said that university or college, or just, those years after high school, they're the best years of your life. It's always some middle-aged man or woman kind of staring wistfully into the distance, those were the best years, they'll say. Have you noticed it's never a 20-year-old who says it? I'm not saying they're necessarily wrong, but I'm amazingly young enough to remember those years as they were. And let me tell you, it's instant noodles and frozen pizza. It's worrying about grade point averages and trying to find the right group of people. It's forgetting that red sock in the laundry. And it's having to choose every moment how to spend your time. From time to time, you'll be lonely, or you'll doubt yourself, or you'll think that, everyone else is having a blast but you. These are supposed to be the very best years, you'll think. It's all downhill from there. It's not. But, all of that is part of it. Everyone, while in it, feels this way from time to time. It's difficult, it's expensive, it can be overwhelming. But on the other hand, you'll meet wonderful people. You'll make amazing new friends. You'll get inspired. You'll be inspiring. And you'll experience things you never thought you would. And maybe 20 or 30 years from now, you'll be staring into the distance saying, the best years. But hopefully, if you continue to work hard and do your best, you'll have a hard time deciding what the best years were. If you put yourself in a position where you go into a field you're excited about, find out what you're good at, and follow that path, you can end up looking back on a life where each stage was wonderful in its own special way. I've tried to do that, and now I do have a job I'm passionate about. I feel fortunate. My day-to-day work consists of analyzing our society and the world and thinking about the challenges ahead, the threats to our way of life, and the security of our state. It's interesting, I think, and it feels important to me. But of course, it also makes me think a lot about where we're going and the state of the world. And I don't want to sugarcoat it. We live in a world that has, in your lifetimes, become more unstable. We're now at a point where the economy, shocked by the pandemic, is plagued by inflation and lagging growth and logistical tangles. States around the world are turning more inward. War has returned to Europe. And perhaps most egregiously, climate change is already upon us, and we're doing much too little to address it. But you're now entering adulthood and gaining responsibilities at a crucial time in history. Now more than ever, we need new ideas, new energy, and compassion, not only for the betterment of the planet and the people on it, but to ensure we don't go down the wrong path and make the world worse for those who follow behind us. Just a year ago, I got a daughter. And I have to say, it's a risky business asking new fathers to make speeches. I had to fight my impulse to, make a slideshow of just her, photos for you all. But, okay, I resisted. But I want my daughter to grow up in a better world. And we all have an obligation to make that happen. Not just my daughter, every son. And while you may not be able to make that difference tomorrow, you can take that first step today. And much of your road has been paved before you. You've been given tools that others can only dream of. Thanks to your family, your friends, and your teachers who got you this far. You've attended one of the world's best schools in one of the world's most prosperous countries. If anyone can really go make an impact, it's you. Let me be clear. There has never before been a generation better prepared for the future than yours. Never before have young people been so connected to each other, so well informed, so packed with potential. And you can use this time, these next few years, to figure out what kind of world you want to create. And not only that, but you can participate in its creation. Connect with people, learn, practice what you want to be good at, surround yourselves with good people, remember where you came from. And also remember that privilege doesn't mean you'll always succeed. It just means that when you do, you have a lot more people to thank. So when you step over to the table here in a moment, think of those people. Think of the hard work you've put down to be here, and try to think about the future that you want to see. But let me close by congratulating you and by paraphrasing something I was told as I was graduating this school. It's just something that has stuck with me. You've proven yourselves hardworking and talented. Now is the time to put that to use. Thank you. Congratulations.
I'd like to thank Paul for taking the time to share such inspiring words with the class of 2022. It's always special for our students to have the opportunity to learn from our alumni, and we really appreciate your contribution this evening, so thank you. We now get to the part that has brought us all here, the awarding of the ISS High School diplomas. Our high school Norwegian teacher, Annalisa Riedel, will be reading out the names of each graduate. Lynn Park, our IB, DP and IGCSE coordinator, and Mr. Thomas Howard, one of our high school mathematics teachers, will be reading a brief comment from each student. The chair of the ISS board, Ms. Åshild Hanna Larsen, will be congratulating each student on receiving their diploma. When called by name, the individual student will proceed to the front of the stage. Students, when you fetch your diploma, please savor the moment. Do not rush off before your picture has been taken and your family and friends have a chance to appreciate this special moment. I now call on Ms. Park, Mr. Howard, Ms. Riedel and Ms. Larsen. And would the first row of students please stand?
Enno Arndt.
Enno is grateful for all the support from his friends and family throughout these 2 years at ISS. He wants to thank everybody for the memories shared and is looking forward to taking a gap year next year.
Leah Marian Banman.
Leah would like to thank all of her teachers, friends and family for their help and support during her time at ISS. Leah is planning on taking a gap year and studying nursing in Canada next year.
Nick Baum.
Nick is grateful for all the help, advice and moments shared at ISS. He wants to thank everybody for their input, wisdom and time. And he's looking forward to working in a voluntary social year in a sports and leisure centre in Germany next year.
Farnoosh Budagi.
Farnoosh would firstly like to thank her parents for all the support and sacrifices they have made for her. She would also like to thank all her teachers she has had these past 15 years here at ISS. She is very thankful for the lifelong friendships she has made.
Isobella Moira Ann Clinch.
Ella would like to thank her friends and family for all their support throughout the years. Next year, she is planning on taking a gap year in France to improve her French before heading back to the UK for university.
Kai Cutter.
Kai has never been a very traditional student, but he wanted to be one just once. He wants to thank his parents for their support, his sibling for being annoying, his friends for everything, and the school as a whole for being where he grew up. He can't say he'll miss ISS, but he sure as heck doesn't regret attending here.
Simeon Dorn.
Simeon would like to thank his teachers, family and friends for making these past 10 years truly memorable. He feels privileged to have been able to attend ISS for the past many years and will forever be thankful for all he has learned at ISS, as well as the lifelong friends he's made along the way.
Maya Dugla.
Maya is grateful for her time at ISS, including becoming acquainted with the lovely staff and the friends she has made, whom she hopes to know for a lifetime. Having enjoyed her past 3 years, Maya wants to thank her parents, her loved ones, and Miss Landis for getting to where she is now, and wishes everyone luck in their future endeavours.
Julia Firinu.
Julia is thankful for her parents' support and words of encouragement, which she will forever cherish. She would also like to give a special thanks to Rebecca and Irene for the unconditional love and support over the past years. Julia plans to study psychology in Milan at Università Cattolica del Sacro Cuore.
Ziv Winter Fresh.
Ziv is relieved that they completed the bare minimum instead of dropping out. Hopefully they can compensate for their horrible lack of academic merit here on out. Ziv would like to thank Sonic the Hedgehog for being so freaking cool and swagger, and like this glorious model, they will gotta go fast to their next 2 degrees.
Saida Yamna Habib Gilani.
Yumna is going to do volunteer work for a year in Norway to gain some experience before continuing to university. She would like to give a big thanks to all of the teachers, friends and family for getting her through these years at ISS and for creating memorable moments. And Yumna wishes her fellow classmates the best for their future.
Umar Mohammed Hassan.
Omar believes that these last 5 years of school were beneficial for him both educationally and personally, and he would like to thank his father, mother, friends, Mr. Safri, Mr. Howard, Mr. Jelinek, Mr. Benzenberg, Mr. Gibney, Ms. Magnusson, and his brother a little bit. He also wants to inform you that he is looking forward to next year for whatever it may hold.
Ravi Singh Hair.
Ravi would like to thank his family for the support they've given him throughout his life. He cherishes every experience he has had with his peers during his 9 years at ISS and is looking forward to the next chapters in his life.
Christina Benestad Hendicott.
Christina would like to thank her family, friends, and teachers for their support throughout her school years. She will always remember the good times she has had at ISS and is looking forward to studying in Norway next year.
Nikita Alexandru Herchu.
Nikita is grateful for all the beautiful memories and friendships built during his years at ISS. He wants to thank all of his teachers for their feedback, time and effort. Next year, he will be studying architecture and building sciences in the Netherlands, and he wishes all his colleagues the best in their future journeys.
Marcus Alfredsen Hess.
Marcus would like to thank his family and friends for all their support throughout his ISS career. Marcus hopes to study economics in Norway next year at university level, as long as he hasn't been called into the military. He wishes all his fellow classmates the best in future.
Mayu Hotta.
Mayu would like to thank her family, friends and teachers for the memorable experience she has had here and for supporting her school life at ISS. She will always have fond memories of her time at ISS. Next year she plans to attend university in Japan.
Avadat Kiran Kavale.
Ava, having already started and progressed his career, will continue to work in the Norwegian football industry with his 2 jobs in youth and professional football, as a coach and as an analyst respectively, while simultaneously working on earning a coaching license as well as a bachelor's degree. He would like to thank the school, especially the teachers, for their patience and flexibility, which allowed him to focus on his purpose.
Ayana Naomi Lewis.
Ayana wants to thank her family and friends for being there for her and supporting her as she scraped through high school. She would also like to thank her teachers for their support and teaching. Although Ayana has been waiting for high school to end, she's nervous for the future, but she's ready.
Alex Meliné Solveig Maillard.
Alix thanks her parents, sister, teachers and friends for their encouragement. She especially appreciates the laughs from the competitive trivia and snacks in English, closed-door gossip in history class, weekly maths puzzles and time spent in sports at ISS. She looks forward to studying aerospace or mechanical engineering at university and wishes everyone well.
Garen Scott McKinley.
Garen wishes to express that his time at ISS has been a major contributor to his personal and educational growth. He would like to thank those that made this growth happen, his family, teachers and friends. It was with great luck that he was able to attend ISS, and he is extremely grateful to have been able to.
Soham Saheb Nehe.
Soham's plan for next year is to study in the United Kingdom, and in a few years he wants to be so famous that the school remembers who he was. His goal is to do something in the future that no one has done before, and he thanks others for everything.
Brady James Northrop.
Next year, Brady will be attending Colorado School of Mines, where he plans to study business engineering and management science. He would like to thank his family and friends for all of their support, encouragement and memories throughout his time at ISS.
Eniola Basira Olaribigbe.
Eniola is grateful for all the help and support she's received throughout the years from her family and friends. She would also like to thank the various teachers for their guidance and contributions to her positive experiences in ISS. Most importantly, she would like to thank God for her freedom.
Sofia Ramos Aguilar.
Sophia would like to thank the From Software Studio for making actually good video games. She would also like to thank her mum for getting her into Breaking Bad and her brother for being into JoJo. She is now looking forward to studying video game development and creating the ultimate game. The only advice she has is to play Bloodborne and get good.
Tara Randjelovic.
Tara would like to thank her family, friends and teachers and the class of 2022 for being supportive and thoughtful throughout her time here at ISS. She'll always remember and will be forever grateful for their input, wisdom and time, as well as the wondrous moments she shared with them, such as Grade 8 Lehrskool in Trysil. She plans to attend the Hamburg School of Business Administration in Germany this fall, and she wishes everyone the best of luck in their future endeavors.
Oskar Hoff Sandvåg.
Oscar would like to thank everyone who supported him through his educational journey. He thanks his classmates for all of the great times and laughs and wishes them luck in the future.
Lily Schönrade.
Lily will start studying in the Netherlands next year. She especially wants to thank her parents for all the support throughout her life and is very grateful to all the friends she has made at ISS and their encouragement during her 2 years of high school.
Tanishq Tomar.
Tani is interested in viewing the world in a different light by exploring interesting places and meeting interesting people. He would like to ask everyone here to read the Wall Street Journal every day, as he might end up on the front cover one day.
Brantley William Ware.
Brantley would like to thank everyone for all the memories made at ISS. He would also like to acknowledge all of his friends and family for all of their support, help and advice through the years. Brantley will be taking a gap year to get into the workforce and to figure out what future education he will be pursuing.
Eric Ben Williams.
Eric wishes to thank himself and is grateful for all the help he has received through teachers, his parents and his peers. In 10 years, when his bank account contains more than $3, he will remember some of you, maybe. For the next year, though, he plans on not losing his license, but anything's possible.
Shiley Winter.
Shiley is very happy to be graduating and is very excited to move to Italy to be with her family and to have her gap year there. She is very grateful to the people who helped her to go through her high school years, including her teachers, her friends, and most importantly, her family. She would like to thank her dad, her mum, and her brother.
Alvaro Yolera Calderin.
Alvaro would like to say thank you to his classmates, his teachers and his family for helping him make it through these last 2 years of high school successfully. He wishes everyone a very happy future.
Maria Katarina Sehet-Leitner.
Maria is grateful for her short yet impactful time at ISS, in which, as Mr. Williams would say, she has finally lost it. She also wants to sincerely thank her family, the friendly staff at ISS, and the friends she made that became a second family to her. Maria will be continuing her study at the University of Rotterdam and wishes all of her graduating peers the best of luck in their future endeavours.
Graduates, will you please all stand? Thank you to Ms. Larson, Ms. Riedel, Mr. Howard, and Ms. Park. At this point, I would like the graduate class of 2022 to move the tassel on their cap with their left hand from right to left. This practice is a visual indication that the students can now claim title to the diploma they have earned. Graduates, you may be seated. The valedictorian at ISS is awarded to the student with the highest academic standing in the entire graduating class. The valedictorian offers the closing words of wisdom to their peers as they graduate and head off to the next stage in their lives. Yesterday, at the high school awards ceremony, this year's valedictorian, Alix Mellar, not only won subject awards for social studies and mathematics, she was also the recipient of the ECIS Award for International Understanding and the Director's Cup for Exceptional Academic Achievement. Her teachers describe her as a dedicated, self-driven student who holds herself up to an impressively high standard. Her commitment and passion for understanding world issues is demonstrated by her active involvement in MUN and her incredibly thorough and deep academic research for her IB Extended Essay in History, which included no less than 69 footnotes. As well as incredible academic achievement and commitment to a number of community initiatives, she is also a high-achieving athlete, competing and coaching volleyball within school and the local community with KFUM. Everything I have described about Alix shows that she is someone who stands to make a difference in the world. In the words of her IB physics teacher, she is one of the most gifted but also humble and friendly students I have ever had. Her positivity is contagious and she brings up the people around her. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome this year's valedictorian, Alix Mela.
Thank you, Ms. Holks, and good evening to our honored guests, family, friends, and class of 2022. For a moment, I would like you to imagine a series on Netflix, and each episode is a year of our lives. Each scene of every episode could be a day, a week, a semester, or a holiday. And now, 18 episodes later, we have reached the end of season 1. And so, here at graduation, we situate ourselves in the closing credits of season 1. But simultaneously, we prepare to press play on the little box which reads next episode, this being season 2, episode 1. For some of us, what the future holds is uncertain. Season 1 may have ended on a cliffhanger, or the filming and screenplay of season 2 may still be incomplete. For others, this is not the case. Some of us await in anticipation, some of us are excited, or some of us may even be indifferent. Yet, regardless of our situation and attitude, for all of us, this moment marks change. But all of season 2 is indelibly tied to its precedents, the events, the plot, the conflicts, and most importantly, the characters of season 1, all those with whom we have crossed paths. We, the protagonists of our own shows, are characterized by season 1, forged by those with whom we have shared the last few years as classmates and friends, and forged by those who have stood at the whiteboard, but more importantly by our sides as our teachers, and forged by those who have been around for much longer as our families. So, despite the change that is inevitably coupled with embarking upon season 2, whether abroad, to university, on a gap year, or elsewhere, season 1 does not disappear, but rather remains the core of this next journey as the founding elements of seasons 2, 3, 4, and so on. What we must remember is that we are both the protagonist and the director of these TV shows, and in that comes choice and decision. Whereas in season 1, we have been co-directors in cooperation with various other decisive forces, like our parents, for example. Now in season 2, we get to be the primary influencing force. We are the deciding factor. But interestingly, in parallel to the power we can now yield within our own lives, is the fact that we are and have not been solely confined to the limits of our own shows. We are characters in the shows of others, and through our influence, some of us have or will gain subordinate directing roles in the shows of others. We have the power to influence, for better or for worse, the outcomes of the plots of those surrounding us now and in the future. And this leads me to the heart of my discussion, the idea of leaving a legacy. Though some of us, and even myself, might at times associate the idea of leaving a legacy with a material goal, a specific job ambition, a future net worth, a future house, it is also important to recognize that leaving a legacy has greater significance. In fact, this has striking resemblance to how TV shows and cinematography frequently consist of a deeper meaning, beyond the mere elements of the story. Think back to a TV show you might have watched a while ago. Do you remember each and every detail of each event? The likely answer is no. Yet I do reckon you recall the emotion associated with the show and the charisma of the individuals. Leaving a legacy acts in much the same way. The impression and the emotion that we impart upon individuals supersedes the material aspects of our lives. Now, by all means, maintain more material goals, and I know I have mine, but ensure that doing so does not consume you to the extent that it undermines and comes at the expense of your values, and that what you sacrifice to get there will not be regretted in 20, 30, or 60 years' time. So strive for a certain job, a certain house, a certain financial situation, and do so with passion, grit, and determination, but always ensure your values are upheld. This introduces one of two messages I want to leave you with. The first is to stay true to yourself, stay true to your values, and try not to stray from what you know to be right. This requires defining your values and holding strong to them. In my eyes, as a subset to the concept of staying true to yourselves, comes the idea of undertaking tasks, goals, problems with purpose and intent. Approach everything you do with these two qualities, because otherwise you deceive yourself into thinking that you are unable or incapable, when in fact it was not your lack of capacity that impeded your success, but rather a lack of will and not giving 100%. And if or even when we encounter failure, at that point the importance of purpose and intent is only exacerbated, despite the negative emotion that will be coupled with it. My second message is that we must be ready to be proven wrong. We must be ready and even willing to realize and acknowledge our faults, misconceptions, and flawed views, and be ready to learn, adapt, and revise our ideas, and even, at times, our values. Seek to be proven wrong and seek to prove yourself wrong. And when we do, learn and grow from it, as it is in these instances that the valor of our persona is revealed. I would like to finish by saying that at a time where social, economic, environmental, and political disarray and chaos prevails globally, we must remember the privilege of diversity we have had throughout our education. In being immersed in a diverse educational environment, we have come to acknowledge and respect different ways of thinking and being, and we have come to see, hopefully, the crucial advantages that diversity reaps. And as we part ways across the globe and into jobs and fields that don't even yet exist, we must maintain hold of this international background at all costs, embrace it, and use it as an exemplar for the unity that must prevail over division. There is and has been a lot of discourse concerning the countless difficulties that face our generation and which we will be tasked to solve. But this discourse, though accurate and important, seems to, at times, mistakenly take precedence over the merits of our generation. We are interconnected in a way that has never before existed, and we have access to the largest amount of information that has ever been available. And though there exists disadvantage and risk with both, we must remind ourselves of the fact that high levels of interconnectedness, coupled with unprecedented quantities of readily available information, gives us, upon collaboration and critical thinking, and if well used, of course, an immense upper hand in the approach to solve society's problems. So these are the messages I want to leave you with. Stay true to yourselves, seek to be proven wrong, value the diversity of our education, and embrace the opportunities that our generation has. With that, I say best of luck to everyone in this next season, and congratulations to the class of 2022.
Thank you, Alix, for such a poignant and thoughtful speech. Class of 2022, whatever our role in your Season 1 Netflix series has been, be it part-time actor, co-director, or when necessarily required, executive producer, we all wait with bated breath and keen audience members of Season 2. That leaves us with only one last thing to do. Graduates, if you could please stand. Ladies and gentlemen in the audience and wherever you are around the world, I give you the class of 2022. And now if the audience could please stand.
Miss Hulks. Thank you. Ladies and gents, refreshments are served outside. Have a great evening. Thank you.